Hi and good evening and welcome. Welcome to the first show on Thfc F1 Till We Die. Welcome to everyone there. Welcome to everyone over on our ordinary channel, THFC Till I Die. Also, welcome everyone on the Full-Time Sports Network on Twitch, THFC Till I Get a Red Card, and also on X at THFC Till I Die. Welcome to the F1 2024 Formula One World Championship pre-season show. And with me is a man. Really, he's known as the Murray Walker of the Spurs world. What this man knows about Formula One is nothing else. He is the one and only Mr. Philip Murray Walker Brady. How are you, Philip?
I think you should have said, Dermo, what I know about Formula One could be written on the back of a small stamp. But anyway, yes, I am still, feeling so sorry for Chelsea at the moment, just to change subject slightly, but not really. Not really.
Well, look, we're looking forward to it, Philip. It's going to be a great season ahead. Look, we got to start with the news today very quickly before we kick into the Formula One. Over a little team in West London. Where's the picture? There you go. Just to bring it up there. £1 billion jobs. How pleased are you, Philip?
Well, I was delighted just to read there now, just while I was waiting for you to come on. They're waiting to come on. That Chelsea are the first Premiership team ever to lose six hometown cup finals in a row. So that makes me feel quite good, actually, because I do not want listen, I appreciate what Mauricio Pochettino did for Spurs when he was here. But the day he kissed the badge at Chelsea, it was gone to me, and I did not want them to win today. And for me to want Liverpool to win, things must be bad.
Well, you were our roving reporter. Very quick, we are going to go in more into it tomorrow, Philip, because tonight is all about Formula One. But very quickly, do you know, is this the end for Poch now? Very quickly.
Well, I did think he might survive till the end of the season. I'm not so sure now. I think that the push against him is going to increase over the next couple of days. Because let's face it, that was Liverpool's under-21 team that beat them today.
Yeah.
I know Chelsea had some young players in the team as well, but they should have had enough. They cost enough. They're a much more experienced team. They should have won that game, but they bottled it. So,
I know.
Pressure's
but anyway, let's see who's in the chat. We've got DJ Samuel. Let's get ready to race. Hashtag F1. Big up, Daniel. He's ready to go. We've got Side Answer 83, McLaren Till I Die. Big up. I'll tell you, he'll be after McLaren this season. Carl Simpson. Hello, gents. My money's on Max, unfortunately, as the car looks in great condition and the fastest out there. It means we'll have to put up with his smug face and just banging on every race. Now, very quickly on the preseason testing, Philip. Firstly, apologizes I didn't cover it. Secondly, because I was so busy putting this new channel together, I actually didn't have a chance to get to do it. But you can't really tell much into testing. It's a bit like pre-season in football, isn't it, Philip? You can never see who's on it. But with Formula One, do you expect it to be the same, or are you hoping that there will be a team that might surprise everyone at the first race next weekend in Bahrain?
Well, I hope someone, it's boring watching Verstappen win every race. I mean, it's just, it's a bit like Celtic and Rangers. Celtic winning every title every year. That might change this year in Scotland. So maybe it's time for a change in Formula One as well. But who is there? I mean, Lewis Hamilton's not going to do it until he moves to Ferrari. Then he might do something. And I don't know. I can't see anybody touching Verstappen. He seems to be the
Ferrari were quick
of the Formula One game.
Yeah. Well, Ferrari were quick in preseason testing, but no teams rarely can. You never seen the teams proper potential. I think onto the first season, onto the first practice session or qualifying for the Grand Prix. So we have to wait and see. But I would like another team to sort of bring it to Red Bull if they can. Evening Dermo by Side Answer. He's saying also, Carl, it looks like Max. It looks like you're right. Max is super quick again. He is. Big up to Chris, the big up Liverpool fan who should be dancing around everywhere tonight. He should be on the town in Carlisle drinking in every pub going because of his team winning the League Cup. He says, big up, lads. Hope you're well. I got your new number, Dermo. Bobby. Been messaging you for 3 months on the old number.
They are now.
There you go, Chris. But listen, get in touch with me because I want to get you hooked up to this F1 as well as with me and Philip. Chris says, lovely picture. Can't even beat the kids up, the Reds. It's true, though, isn't it? It is true. We've got Chris also saying that's embarrassing defeat for Poch. As side answer puts, I had money on Van Dijk to score from a header, 20-1 on gets disallowed on another in extra time.
I presume you got your money anyway because it was a header. So.
No, he lost it because it got disallowed.
Yeah, but he scored.
Yeah, but it was only in the one bet within 90 minutes.
I was in 90 minutes. All right. Oh yeah, I thought maybe it was a whole game. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Chris says, afternoon session of time and tell you a lot of intestine, and that's when it's dark over there and the track cools down. Yeah, that is so true. That is so true. And he said, yeah, had too much to drink. Drinking Poch's tears.
I said there's bucket loads of them knocking about at the moment.
Now, look, Philip, let's start with the calendar. Let's start with that and where we are going to race this year in Formula One. 24 races now, Philip, this year in Formula One, the biggest ever calendar in its history. Look, one of the questions was, Philip, what races are you looking forward to this year? So are there any races there that stand out to you, Philip, apart from the like Monaco and that? But what other races are you looking forward to this year watching?
They're not doing Las Vegas this year, no?
They are, yeah.
Well, they are, yeah. That Las Vegas one, I mean, that's interesting because the way they drive around the street.
Yeah.
Monaco, obviously. The British Grand Prix, I presume. And I just didn't see them doubling back to Qatar and Abu Dhabi at the end, having two in the Middle East at the start and then two at the end. Seems quite strange. There should be an Irish Grand Prix there.
There should be.
Mondello Park.
There should be too, right? We're back in China this year after a long break as well, Philip. So returning back to China. Japan's earlier. Japan's usually at the end of the season, but it's earlier this year after Australia. I'm looking forward to Italy's my favorite. I love the Italian Grand Prix at Monza. I love the passion. I love the Ferrari fans and the passion and everything. I love that. I love Belgium's always been my favorite race as well. Las Vegas, that race last year, Philip, was like, I watched it with my mouth wide open because every time it went down the straight, you were going through the strip, and all you could see was just the bright lights of Vegas. It was something else. Brazil.
Can I ask you one question though, Dylan? How come the USA gets 3 Grand Prix?
Because it's all to do with money.
Like Miami, Austin, and Vegas. You know, it seems a bit lopsided compared to the rest of the world. You know.
Well, Italy used to have 2 races. Italy have 2 races, as you can see. One in San Marino and the other one in Monza. So Italy get 2 races. Spain, I think, are getting 2 races next year. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 races in the Middle East. So yeah, it's all about money, Philip, really, in a way.
Yeah. I know the Middle East. That's 4 different countries in the Middle East, though. You know.
Yeah, and look, you look at San Marino, which is now the Emilia Romagna. I'm not even going to pronounce.
I think technically that's not Italy, though. Technically, San Marino is a separate country, but I know everyone classes it as Italy.
It comes under the banner, and it's not too far. That San Marino Grand Prix. It's not too far from Maranello, which is the home base of Ferrari. Yeah. And that's why they have 2 races in Italy, because of Ferrari, basically.
Yeah, but I'm a logistics person, right? I'm looking at that, and I say, okay, first 2 are in the Middle East, fair enough. Then they go to Australia, Japan, and China, right? Then they're off to Miami, right? Then they're back to Europe for 2 races. Then they come back out to Canada. You know what I'm trying to say? Would they not be better off doing the Canada race after the Miami race and then coming back into Europe? It just seems an awful lot of travel that's not necessarily needed.
It does in that way. If you look at it that way, you're probably right, Philip. But there's a lot of back-to-back and double, triple headers as well, Philip. So, look, this is the biggest calendar ever in Formula One, Philip. So, look, if you were involved in Formula One and you had your family's all grown up now, Philip, right? But if you were a young man, say 30 years ago with a young family, and you were involved in Formula One, would your family stand for you being away for 24 weekends of the year?
If I was earning mega bucks every week, probably, yeah, I'd probably be glad to get rid of me.
No, but you'd see, the serious point though, could this put a lot of stresses on families as well? Because
not really. Because I mean, if you look at it this way, Dermot, a lot of those races, especially the ones in Europe, are quite close together. Like Belgium, Netherlands, and Italy, that's a a 90-minute plane ride away, so you can always meet up with your family at some stage along the route. You know, I'm sure Ryanair will give you a good discount on the flights. You know, so I mean, I think no, it's only the ones that might be when you're away, maybe in Japan, China, place like that, where you might be away for a while. But the rest of them now, they're all reachable. So you wouldn't be away. You'd be away, but you'd be meeting up with your family at some stage or more.
So, look, the first race in Bahrain, then it's in Saudi Arabia. Now, the first 2 races, Philip, are on a Saturday instead of a traditional Sunday. So, because of it being the Middle East, what are you expecting from the first 2 races? Are you expecting what are you hoping for? Forget about Max Verstappen, forget about Red Bull.
Some competition.
Yeah.
You know, where somebody comes through the pack and is leading with a lap to go, and Verstappen's in 4th place. That's what I want to see. A bit of excitement, not falling asleep watching Verstappen lapping everybody nearly. You know, I know that's not going to happen, but I think, and I'm sure the sport is crying out for that as well, because you don't want the same people winning all the time, because it diminishes the interest for a lot of people. Yeah.
Just want to go through some of the chat here, Philip. Chris is going to join us as well. Carl Simpson.
Good. Oh, good.
Carl's joining us as well once his missus goes to bed, so he said he'd join me. Chris says, I love China track. Glad it's back. Touch wood. Yes. Now, that track, Philip, has a history for Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton would have won the World Championship in 2007 when he went into the gravel trap coming into the pit lane and lost his chance to become world champion. But it is a fantastic track.
After that, though, didn't he?
Yeah, he did make up for it. That Chris says, but there's too many races for me. And I agree with you, Chris. I think there is. I keep saying it. It's not good for the cars. They get damaged. Eventually, the teams have to spend budgets. Then they get fined. Philip, it works like in football with FFP. Now, there's sort of FFP in Formula One. A team can only spend so much money. How can a team in Formula One that is more technically advanced in everything keep within budgets?
Well, I take it. Are they only allowed 2 cars? Are they only allowed 2 cars?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, the more advanced you are in technology, the less chance you have of pranging the car. Okay. There's nothing to say a car might get involved in a shunt or a wheel touching off each other at the start and going into a spin or something. I don't know what the budgets are, but I'm sure that they're
200 million. Say, I think the top teams are
that sounds that sounds more than enough. But then again, how much does each car cost?
Yeah, I'll find out for that, Philip. But look, it's Formula One sort of a rich man's game. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. I'm sorry, but it is. I mean, I don't know what the admission prices to the races are, but I'm sure they're quite expensive. And like when you see people flying in helicopters to it, that's not Joe Public. That's you know, it's even worse than football. I think we all complain about football becoming a rich man's game. It's only trotting after Formula One. Really.
Yeah. I mean, I've got the price here, right? I've got it. I'm on Red Bull's sort of thing here. So Red Bull's website here, right? A real deal, an actual F1 car costs around 15.9 million. Sticking the actual price tag on a current F1 car is difficult. An F1 team may spend up to $145.6 million.
Oh, in a season.
So, yeah.
Right, so take the cost of 2 cars is about 40 million. It leaves them 100 million to spend on everything else.
Yeah, that's updating the car. That is, you know, I mean, rarely the teams that will updating the cars in the season starts now.
Yeah.
So
surely if they're updating the car, Dermot, they've got enough mechanics on board, in-house mechanics. It's not like leaving your car down to the nearest garage and getting charged by the hour. You're employing the boys to fix it. They're already been paid for. You know where I'm coming from? So I don't know what all the now do teams ever exceeded their budget?
Oh yeah. This is
what happens when they do. What happens when they do?
Like Red Bull exceeded their. I think Chris can quote me on this, but Red Bull exceeded their budget and they lost 10% wind tunnel time or 5% wind tunnel time, which is quite a lot in Formula One. In Formula One, your wind tunnel is your god because you test all your new equipment that's coming in. You test all the front wings. You test how it affects the car. You test wind tunnels is where you test all your majority of your upgrades that go onto the car.
But surely,
so if you lose, if you lose 5% of that time, then you allow another team's chance to catch up on you.
Yeah, but look at it this way, though. The chances are when you exceed your budget, it's going to be late on in the season. It's not going to be early in the season, right? Chances are we'll be late in the season. So by that stage, surely all the equipment's tested. So surely the 5% wouldn't matter as much after the 20th race than it would after the 4th race.
It goes on to you for next season, Philip. So it doesn't go on to the season you're driving in. It goes on to the following season.
Right. Okay, that's fine. That's good to know. I didn't know that because
so when
it
you
just seems
start
a bit of a, it seems just a little bit of a kind of a slap on the wrist rather than a kick in the teeth, you know?
Yeah. But no, there is a very strict rules in Formula One for that. And that's only come in for the last few years, Philip. I think Ferrari's budget, say back in the early 2000s, was nearly $300 or $400 million.
Jeez, incredible. Amazing.
And that was, Ferrari, and back then, Philip, there was 2 teams, a test team. There was a test team that used to go testing constantly during the season to test new bits on the car. So you're paying for all of that. You've got the 2 race teams. You've got the mechanics. You've got it's a multi-million pound going around Formula around the world. It's like a massive circus.
Yeah, but obviously, it must mean that the stewards, call them stewards, one of the better ones, they must have direct access to the financials of these companies, because otherwise
that's down to the FAI. That's down. To
they must have direct access, because otherwise, it takes them 6 months to order the books after the season was over.
They do.
But there's one question that's going to include that money. Does that include wages for all the mechanics and everything? That's everything.
I think it does, Philip. I'm not 100% sure. I will look into that going on to the season as we're going on. But yeah, it does. But teams cannot spend. You cannot overspend. You have to keep within your budget. It's to keep the sport. It's to get new people to come into the sport. So, like, Audi are coming in 2026. Andretti tried to come in, but they were blocked coming in this time round.
Nice.
It really is. It's a money making racket, Formula One. It's unreal how much these big companies, because it's all sponsors, Philip. You look at Mercedes, right, or Ferrari. If you're winning Formula One races, that then helps your car business to sell more cars.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you know
Red Bull, you sell more drinks. I'd like to see now is everybody switch over to drink Wraith. Don't drink Red Bull. Give everybody else a chance then.
Yeah, that's it. And if you want to drink Wraith, what did they do, Philip? Just above you.
Just look at the code there, THFC till I die. Scan the QR code, get 10% off your first order, and let's put Red Bull down the pecking order in the Formula One.
That's it. That's who our sponsor. THFC F1 team's going to be sponsored by Wraith.
Yeah,
there you go.
They'll be known as Wraith Rovers.
Yeah, Wraith Rovers. And we'll have Chris as lead driver number 1, and we'll have Dan as driver number 2.
I want to drive.
Okay. You be driver number 2. We'll have Dan Davenport as team principal. We'll have me, Carl, and that Man United fan that comes onto our channel. What's his name? Colin. We'll have him as technical director.
Sorry.
Chris says it was good when it was 15 to 18 races. Yeah. Back in the day, Philip, it was always between 15, 16, 17 races.
Yeah.
And now it's crept up over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
To 24. Yeah. They cannot go any more than 24. I'd be very surprised if they do. Chris also said rumors, I've heard this, of a Chicago Grand Prix coming in 2026. That's just Americans for you. Let it call it American F1. I have to get them.
Do these countries bid for the right to hold them? So in other words, you could have the race this year, but somebody outbids you, and you're off the list next year.
No, what it is, everyone signs contracts. So like Silverstone's just signed a new 10-year contract for the next 10 years. So say if they wanted to race around New York, which has been, it's been
Jesus,
seriously,
that'd be good.
Seriously, Philip, that has been
God.
That absolutely has been mooted about racing.
Have you ever
around
seen
New
the
York.
traffic in New York at the best of times?
Well, there was rumors years ago when I was a kid of having a race around Dublin and London.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the Grand Prix around Dublin?
Imagine going through Finglas. The tires have gone off the car by the time they got through.
just have the pit stops in Blanchardstown or somewhere like that.
They'll be having police escorts around some of the areas in Dublin. Apologies to anybody from Finglas.
Yeah,
Anyway.
sorry for anyone from Blanchester. But yeah, we got Dan says, "Hey Dermot, big up Dan, my man." He says, "Hey Dermot and Phil, can't wait for the F1 season to start. I hope Alonso does well again this season. I hope he does. Aston Martin seem to be in the mud a little bit. Seem to be the fourth fastest car, I think, behind Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes. But yeah, Alonso, the oldest man on the grid, Philip, over 40. Going
That's not
into
old.
it, he started
only-
in in sports terms, in Formula One
Yeah, I suppose,
terms.
yeah.
It is old. 2 times world champion back in 2005, 2006. Are you going to be supporting Aston Martin this year? A little bit, the big Aston Martin brand.
I don't know. I'll make up my mind when I've seen some of the antics that go on. I haven't made up my mind yet who I'm going to be following. You know, I'm not following Red Bull. Definitely not. I don't want them to win again.
No, it's true. We've got Chris. These teams only get 2 months really to do with spend with the family, and that's the 2 months to get off.
Yeah,
the end of season.
Well, I'm sure they're very well rewarded for their job, so I'd say it's worth it.
I'd say so. Big up to David Clark as well. Big up, David. A little bit of information. Having work in that Silverstone during its construction, and afterwards for snagging all the electrical work, and then finally being the head electrician covering an F1 weekend in 2011.
Good man, David.
Big up, David. David, the man from many talents from Leicester.
Absolutely.
Chris says Monaco needs to be removed from me. No, Chris. Sorry. Look, Chris, you usually speak a lot of sense about Formula One. We do not get rid of Monaco. Right, you don't go there. Me and Philip are going there in our THFC till I die dinghy this year. You know, and Philip's going to be lost in the casino, and he's going to be lost with all the supermodels and everything.
I've actually been on that track. The one Formula One track I've been on.
Have you really been to Monaco?
Years ago, yeah. We took a taxi drive. There's a tour you can do around it.
Yeah.
The taxi brings you around the tour when it wasn't useful.
Wow.
Formula One, yeah, very interesting. You know.
Yeah.
You know, I've never seen such a town like Monaco. Every garage. You don't see Ford or Toyota or Kia. It's Porsche, Mercedes, a Maserati,
Ferraris, Lamborghini.
Ferrari, yeah. If you're driving a Rolls Royce, you're nearly a poor man, you know?
Yeah, if you see that track in Monaco, Philip, are you struck? Well, you see it on TV, right? Are you absolutely staggered how they get round there?
It's
it's a great race. I love it.
It's a great race. I don't know how they do it. I really don't know. It's a brilliant way they have of sealing off the place. And the town is closed down for a couple of weeks beforehand while they do it, you know?
Yeah. And many of the drivers live in Monaco because of tax purposes as well, by the way.
They've got everything. They can make it to the casino then as well. Monte Carlo is just down the road.
Yeah, Philip's is streaming live from Monaco, by the way. He's just got a green screen behind him. That looks like he's in a house in Leitrim, but really he's in his penthouse overlooking the Monaco harbour.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
I've got Azerbaijan is my favourite race, says Side Dancer. Philip, you got to look forward to this year. With this your first full season watching Formula One.
Yeah.
You're gonna you got a lot to look forward to. Big up, Mr. Simpson. I know someone who works in full Formula One on all those on all the scoreboards.
Sorry.
And he doesn't go every weekend. It's yeah. Let's start that again. I know someone who works.
Sorry. I tried to get the mute button on, didn't hit it in time.
I know someone who works for F1 on all the scoreboards. You see it on the TV, and doesn't go to every weekend. It's a rotor on and off. Wow.
All right.
Wow, Carl. David says, and knowing all the people who run Silverstone, Lewis Hamilton wasn't a very popular person that at all, arrogant, and his father was worse. I don't find that. I've heard
that. All right, that he is a little bit pushy.
Wouldn't you with all that money?
Huh?
Wouldn't you?
He's entitled to be a little bit uppity now. He's such a good driver.
But he was going out. He was going out with the Pussycat doll as well at the time.
Oh well, maybe she had him neutered.
She's still bloody up watching some rubbish on TV. Oh, I feel sorry for Carl. Big up, Carl. If I said that about Mrs. Tron, I wouldn't be living. I would not be alive. Philip be looking for me. If I said that about Mrs. Tron, if you said that about Mrs. Brady, you'd be dead too, Philip. You know that.
Oh, in a flash.
Yeah. The current price range for one of those racing cars. Now, thanks, Chris, for this. May lie between $12 to $15 million, according to Red Bull. During the 2022 season, F1 teams were allotted 145.6 million for spending. So that's all they're allowed to spend, Philip. $145.6 million.
Okay, now against that, you see, whenever they're saying they take Silverstone, right? There's 50,000 people paying a mega bucks to get into that. Who gets the money from who gets the gate money?
The gate money goes into a pot. The gate money goes to the teams and the promoter.
So in other words, they actually get some of that 145 million back during the season.
Yeah, at the start of the season, the team all get a pot. They get a fee for entering into Formula One, so they get paid for coming in for the season.
Right.
They get the TV money and they get all their travel paid for.
Okay.
You have to get a point. Once you score a point, your travel is paid for the following season by Formula One.
Yeah,
so if you don't get a point, you've got to pay for traveling, hotels, cars going out there. You've got to pay for everything.
So that means that the lesser teams are struggling, basically.
Yeah, the lesser teams are struggling, but most teams now get points. I mean, back in the day, you had Eddie Jordan's team. He was struggling, Minardi. So you really had to get a point for Formula One to pay for everything for you. It is mind-blowing. It really is. David Clark, the most popular drivers at Silverstone was Damien Hill, a true gent, and Jackie Stewart, but he was a touchy-feely, and any good-looking lady who got within 2 feet.
Oh, there you are, though.
There you go.
And let's face it, there'll be no shortage of them hanging around the Formula One track, from what I've seen.
Now, Mrs. Tron saw Damien Hill because he used to live where she used to live in Dublin.
All right.
Didn't he? Yeah. Damien Hill.
Yeah,
in Killiney.
Okay.
There we used to see him down back in 96, 94, 95, 96. There we used to see him in Killiney, where Derby used to live.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, there you go. Mrs. Tron. Mrs. Tron's Matt's famous. But it didn't go. But that didn't go all in one car. Instead, the money could be put towards building the driver's car. So it is for the whole 2 cars, Philip.
Yeah.
And Chris says Red Bull and Aston Martin lost 10% of wind tunnel time at the end of 22 season for exceeding budget. They exceeded their budget, so they lost wind tunnel time for the 23 season.
Nice.
And he says, he said the same thing again. Didn't affect Red Bull. No, it didn't affect Red Bull that much, to be fair. Did you know, Philip, we've done the opening race for the Formula One season. This is our 3rd time we're doing it since we started the channel. Since you and me started working together.
Yeah, right. Doesn't seem that long at all, but anyway,
it's about time we actually started putting some effort into this Formula One business. What do you reckon? Do you reckon we might get rich out of it?
No,
the charge. Oh, we will. They charge £8.50 for a beef burgers in 2011 F1 at Silverstone. Sorry, lads. I know you love the sport, but you have been close. Do you want to read this one out? Sorry.
Yeah, but I know you love the sport, but having been close to Silverstone and there on race day, it's as boring as hell to me. Sorry. There you go. Well, that's $8.50 13 years ago. What are they now? Probably €20 or more. Nothing comes cheap at those events anyway, so it's...
Yeah, Derbil said to me the other night, last night, what do you prefer most, Formula One or Tottenham? Well, I said Tottenham's my first love, but I find motorsport's more exciting, Philip. Do you know what I mean? Anything can happen at any minute.
Yeah, but do you not think that, again, this might sound like a bit heresy, but in the old days, when things were a little less regulated, it was more exciting. I think you nearly know what's going to happen in a race now, whereas in the old days, you didn't.
Well, you did when Schumacher was winning every race. Every team goes through
but I go back to Graham Hill and Damon Hill and Jackie Stewart and what's the other Clark fella? What do you call him? Jim Clark. That's those area. I mean, there wasn't nearly as much regulation in those days. Okay, I know it was more dangerous.
Yeah,
but then maybe that was half of the excitement of the thing. It was more dangerous.
It says on the back of a ticket, motorsport is dangerous, Philip. I mean, you go back to
Jim Clark, but not as dangerous as it used to be.
No, Murray Walker always said they made Formula One safe, but they'll make it safer, but they'll never make it totally safe. You go back to Jim Clark's era, 3-time world champion, died after his car hit a tree. You go back to Jackie Stewart's teammate, the French Francois, I forget his surname. had his head cut off when he went through an Arco barrier.
Yeah.
You look back in the day, cars used to catch fire like that because of aluminium, and it was dangerous, Philip. I understand when you regulate a sport, the safety had to come up to match.
Yeah.
Every week, drivers were going to funerals.
Yeah.
You start with 22 drivers at the start of the season back in the day. You were lucky if you ended up with 10 of them still alive.
Oh yeah, I know. It has to be made safer, but like any car that's traveling at 200 miles an hour, there's still an element of all it takes is to miss time a turn or something. You've gone through the barriers, you know. So
I mean, Dan says about Gil Bianchi. He died after he went under a tractor, taking the car off the track. It was a wet track. His car slid and his head. This is when they brought in the thing that goes over around the cockpit now. And literally had his head decapitated.
God.
There's a picture of a driver, and it's etched in my memory, Philip. There was a program years ago on the BBC. It was all about the dangers of Formula One back in the day. And this driver, right, and the car flipped over and crashed and burst into flames. Now, the driver's still inside the car. A car stopped, tried to get the extinguisher off your fireman to put the fire out. And no driver would stop. They carried on. And they went for lap after lap, driving round a man that died in a racing car. And back then, they thought that was acceptable.
Yeah.
And then
well, obviously,
there
was no such thing as health and safety in those days anyway, really. You know?
And when Ayrton Senna died, which he died live on television,
there
was an outcry, and rightly so. I mean, Ayrton Senna, a 3-time world champion, my hero, and he literally died in front, I think it was about 50 or 60 million people. And that was watching worldwide. And Formula One was sort of safe back in 94. It would never be safer, but they can always make it safe.
Yeah.
Big up to Dan. Caterham F1 went bust a few years ago. So did Arrow's F1 team. Yeah, they did. Big up to David. David Shays, morning to you two legends.
Hi, David.
I'm not a legend, but Philip is. Philip's a legend. I'm the apprentice.
Not in this game, you're not.
No, I am the apprentice, Philip. You are the legend of Thfc till I die.
Well, not in the Formula One side now. Not in the Formula
I'm
One.
the apprentice. I'm the oily rag. You're the mechanic. I'm the oily rag. Big up, Carl.
So I'm on sugar, am I?
Yeah. Well, you're sugar. I'm the tea. Anyway.
Right.
Anyway,
okay.
Big up to Dave. Dan, it's not easy getting the new F1 teams because they're so high for them.
Exactly,
I would love Philip to look into the financial side of Formula One, maybe before.
I will have a look at that. That would interest me a lot. You know, to see how they get around this.
How many garages are at the Silverstone in the pit lane? There's 10 teams, so there were 10 garages, but there is extra garages for other races, like for the Endurance World Championship. So there's more garages for them. For MotoGP, so there's for Formula One, there's 10 garages for 10 teams. David, so as far as I know, what about me? Even Eddie Irvine couldn't drive, man. Well, we haven't been blessed with many Irish drivers, have we, Philip? Over the years,
really,
Eddie Irvine was one.
No.
There was a driver that drove around back in the day with his flat cap on. And no, it wasn't Dave Harris from the Irish Hotspur, but it might have been. Who knows? Who knows? Big up to Ellie. Ellie, just a girl loves Spurs, who got a membership today from David. So please thank David for your membership, Ellie. She's overtime today, Dermot. Hope you and Philip are ready for the night shift. I said Formula One. Philip went, no, nothing about it. I'll come on just for the crack. That's not fair enough. Come on. We're going to the pub after this. Aren't we? We'll go to the disco.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway. Hi, Ellie. Good day, Ellie. Cobbett. He's called what's that?
Cobbett.
Cobbett.
Cobbett. It's a female version of a cobber.
Yeah. Cobbett. David Clark, don't know who owns Silverstone now, but when I was there, the owners, the British racing team of Great Britain, were skint. They were trying to sell it for $1 billion. Jesus.
Wow.
Monaco is my favorite F1 track. Yeah, Monaco's up there for me. Chris, no wonder Lewis loves Monaco. But anyway, moving on. Because he does have I think he lives in Switzerland now, somewhere like that. Jackie Stewart was the first one to do that, Philip, back in the 70s. You know about taxes in the 70s. He moved to Switzerland because of the tax service. David Clark says...
Am I right in saying Lewis Hamilton's an Arsenal fan?
Yeah, he is.
That's even more reason I don't want him to win this year. Then.
That's why I've never really supported him, to be fair. Number 2011 Silverstone Grand Prix was taken over by Ecclestone because he put money into it. He bought his own chefs, his own security from France. I had a pass for everywhere, but they stopped me entry.
Oh, he was some boy, Bernie Ecclestone, wasn't he?
I tell you, I'd love to do it. I'd love to do just a stream on Bernie Ecclestone. That man, right? He made Formula One what it is today.
Yeah.
He was
still a bit of a gangster. Still a bit of a gangster.
He was a gangster, but he was a car salesman, Philip. That's all he was. And he made billions out of Formula One. But he made Formula One what it is today. He is the reason that we have the sport we have. And he may be a gangster, but we owe him so much. We really do. A bit like Ange Postecoglou turning Tottenham round this season.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I always get Spurs in there somewhere along.
Oh, yes.
Anthony Davidson from Skyafron lives about 10 miles from me. Wow.
Uh-huh.
David says, what? Number 3? What? No, three-wheel dart. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
That's for Philip. That's a new sport for Philip. It's all good. I have headphones on. She can't hear me now. If she ever decided to rewatch, I'm screwed. We'll come up with something for you. We'll back you up, Carl. Silverstone was losing money because they're being charged more than other events for some reason. Spurs, NFL, the missus. LOL, she doesn't watch your podcast. Mine does. She's our technical director. Jules Bianchi died about 5 years ago. I think it was the Japanese Grand Prix. Jim Clark didn't even die in Formula One race. It was a Formula 2 race he was racing in. And he actually spoke to one of the pit crew and said he feared for his life. Yeah, it was a wet day in Hockenheim. A lot of Formula One drivers back in the day, Philip, drove in Formula 2 and a lot of other races. And he was off the pace all weekend. And he said to the mechanic, I can't get any heat into my tires because for some reason he couldn't. And then I think it was on the 4th lap, he collided into a tree.
Yeah.
And that was it. The greatest racing driver of probably David's and Europe era was Jim Clark. And just nothing like that.
Yeah.
And he was a farmer from Scotland. He was a sheep farmer.
That's right.
Yeah. Big up to Ollie, the man with the van.
Hi,
if you see a van going around Ireland, you know it's Ollie.
Tough luck, bet some Pats the night, Ollie.
Yeah, well, don't worry, Ollie. We've got the Irish League of Ireland watch along on Friday. Me and Philip are going to follow. Under who we're following Friday?
What game is on Friday? I saw it all right. Oh God, we'll let you know. I know. There is a game on a Friday night, anyways.
But anyway, if you see a van going around Ireland, give it a beat, but you know it's Ollie. Ollie with the van.
The man with the van.
The man with the van. Someone died a few days ago too. Yeah. Who died yesterday, Philip? Stan Bowles passed away yesterday.
Yeah, Stan Bowles died yesterday. Yeah. The nightclubs of London are having a 2-minute silence for him.
Yeah. Senna's family tried to take Franklin to court. Yeah, they did. Belgium is the most dangerous Grand Prix at the moment, especially in wet weather. It is. It goes up to garage number 41. Big up, David.
Wow.
There's 2 empty team slots to fill for me. Something fishy is going on White Andretti has not been accepted, even though they're around. I think there's something fishy going on as well. But it could be Philip coming in with his team. Could be Philip coming in with his Irish Formula One team. And then David saying, Ecclestone daughter, that's what you call beauty. How the hell did he
Well, it could have been a grudge, baby.
Yeah, could have
Somebody
been.
had it in for him.
It could have been. Now,
Think
Philip,
about it.
let's
Think about it.
right. Let's get on to who's driving who, Philip, for driving who's driving where. And of course, we're going to start at the world champions, of course, Red Bull, Oracle Red Bull Racing, Max Verstappen, and my brain's gone.
Wow.
I know these drivers off the top of my hat. Max Verstappen and his teammate, for the name, it's just gone clearly out of my head. Anyway, Red Bull, the class of the field last year, Philip.
Yeah, looks like they've done it a lot of years, haven't they? Really, the last 3 years in a row.
Thank you, Dan. It's Sergio Perez. That's who his teammate is. For the life of me, I couldn't think of his name. 100. They finished, of course, first last year with 860 points, Philip. 113 races. They are 7 times drivers world champions, 6 times constructors world champions. What makes Red Bull so special, do you think, Philip? What makes them so fast?
It gives you wings. Yeah, they fly around the track. Listen, they've probably got the best car, the best driver. That's my uneducated view of it.
Yeah. Course number 2, Philip, of course, is the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton. In his last season for McLaren, from Mercedes, him and George Russell, they were second with 409 points. Are you
only half the points of the other crowd? Jesus.
Yeah. Are you hoping McLaren? You're hoping Mercedes will come up with a different sort of concept this year for their car? Because it looks like they have within preseason testing, they're on about the front wing. Red Bull seem to be a bit worried about them. Do you think there could be a bit of a dark horse for the first couple of races?
Who knows? I mean, again, unless you're a fly on the wall, you won't know until the first couple of races come out.
Yeah.
But I hope someone does put pressure on Red Bull. As I say, I don't want them walking away with it. Like, look at the Constructors' Championship. They've over 450 points more than Mercedes in second place.
And
so someone needs to put the pressure on them.
Yeah, but if you look at their Philip, 8 times World Constructors Champions between 2015 and 2021, and the same between 2014. They were, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in a row drivers champion between 2014 to 2020.
Yeah. Then Red Bull took over.
Yeah. Do you feel that Mercedes sort of took the foot of the pedal when the new regs came in, when the changes came in for last season, that Red Bull were able to get ahead of them? Because every time there's
no idea, to be honest. Really,
every time there's a new formula, Philip, other teams sort of gather pace, gather momentum. So, are you hoping with the new regs coming in 2026 that a Mercedes could again get the leap on Red Bull?
I'm not. I just want someone to put the pressure on Red Bull, whether it's Mercedes or McLaren or Ferrari or whoever. Please, somebody do it and make it competitive this season.
Yeah. Now, of course, Ferrari needs no introduction, Philip. You know Ferrari. Everyone knows Ferrari world over. 15 times drivers' champions, 16 times constructors' champions. Been there since the very start. Look, there's a part of me that wants Ferrari to do well. There's a part of me that wants Ferrari to win the world championship. They haven't won the world drivers' champions since 2007. They haven't won constructors' champions since 2008. Is there part of you that wants Ferrari to do well, Philip? And would you hope they'll win more than one race, more than one race this season than the one last season?
Well, I mean, when you think of Formula One or in the old days or any type of motor racing, Ferrari is nearly the first name that comes into your head. I mean, they were here years before Red Bull was only a figment of somebody's imagination.
Yeah,
so they're a more traditional team and maybe traditional values. So yeah, hopefully they do. Yeah, I mean the red car is really, you get a shiver when you see the Ferrari team car coming down the track there. This red car with the yellow badge. So yeah, I hope Ferrari do well.
Do you know the story behind the badge?
I've heard it, but remind me. I can't just remember.
It was taken off a family whose son died in World War I. He was a fighter pilot for the Italian Air Force.
Okay.
And when he died, Ferrari asked his mother, could he use, I think this is how it goes, could he use the prancing horse? And she said, yes, put that on your car So I know every time you run a race, it's a tribute to my son. So
Oh.
that's where the Prancing Horse comes from. It was actually from an Italian air pilot who died in the First World War.
Okay, very good. Yeah, that's good. That's, yeah. I've heard that story before. Right? Yeah, yes.
And also the Ferrari films out, Philip. Is it worth? I love my Ferrari films.
I don't know.
I've seen.
I don't know. I haven't seen
Yeah.
it. So
A very good actor acting Ferrari, by the way.
hmm.
Also, Donna Collin has been a member for 1 month, so big up, Donna. Yeah, she was saying nice things about you earlier, Philip.
Oh, very nice. That's nice. Yeah. Thank you, Donna.
Yeah. Now, Philip, we're going to the fourth team, McLaren. Now, McLaren's a big name as well in Formula One. 8 times constructors champions, 12 times Formula One champions. But the most prolific era, of course, was in the 80s with Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost, Philip. Winning everything from 1988 to 1991. And then, of course, double champion with Mika Häkkinen in 88, 98, 99, and then drivers then with Lewis Hamilton 2008. McLaren seemed to end the season off well, Philip. They haven't done so well in testing. For a British team, is it nice to have a team from Britain that can compete at the top end of Formula One? And is it important for the British car manufacturers that they do have a British team that does compete well and at the top end of Formula One?
Well, I mean, you've got McLaren and you've got Aston Martin. You've got two of them, really, haven't you? So, I don't know who's the more likely to come higher up than of the two of them. I mean, I mean, ever since the James Bond movies came out, I love Aston Martins. So I'll always be rooting for Aston Martin, maybe in that respect.
Yeah. But McLaren, a big name, Philip, big name in
Formula
One.
Name, yeah. But Aston Martin's bigger, so that's why I go.
Aston Martin now, McLaren now. If you look now, Ayrton Senna, would you? If somebody said to you Ayrton Senna, would you think of McLaren? If you're not a big F1 fan. So.
No, I just think Ayrton. I wouldn't know who he drove for. No.
Yeah, he drove for Lotus as well. He started his career at Lotus, by the way, Senna.
All right, okay.
There's your team, the team in green. Aston Martin finished 5th in last year's competition, Constructors' Championship. Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll, the son of the owner of Formula One, Mr. Stroll, who owns Aston Martin. They've never won a Grand Prix.
Now. They're not known as Aston Martin anymore. No?
Yeah, they are. That's the main title sponsor for the team.
Okay.
So they've never won the Grand Prix, Philip. They've had plenty of podiums. Is this the team you're going to get behind next season?
I always go for an underdog. That's what I'm supporting Spurs closely, but I'm going to get behind them. Yeah.
There you go. Mr. Brady's going for Aston Martin. Then after that, of course, we've got Alpine, the first of the French teams, 1 victory, 6 in last year's Constructors' Championship. Ocon and Gasly, 2 French drivers for the French team. Alpine, a French manufacturer as well, Philip, do make cars. What are you hoping? Look, is it important for these teams to do well for the country's car manufacturers? Do you know what I mean? Like for the French car industry, for the British car industry, is it important for these teams to win, to get good results, because it reflects on them selling their cars on the Monday morning in a showroom?
That French team aren't are they any connection to Renault? No.
Yeah, they are. They're a company of Alpine is a company under the umbrella of Renault.
Yeah, well, see, to me now, the man in the street, I wouldn't, if I was thinking of buying a Renault, I wouldn't be influenced by a team called Alpine doing well.
Yeah.
I think they should be called Renault. And then, then you will be influenced by it.
They rebranded it into Alpine a couple of seasons ago.
Well, I mean, as I said, I wouldn't have the clue Alpine was Renault. I don't think a lot of people in the street would either. So, maybe that was a bad move because Renault sales might go up if they had a very successful Formula One team.
Yeah, which they've had in the past. But I don't see Alpine do much this season, to be fair, Philip. Now, we're going to Williams. Williams is a massive name, of course, in Formula One. Of course, 7 times drivers' champions for Frank Williams, 9 times constructors' champions. Been through a bit of the doldrums recently, Philip, but now with Sargent and Albon in there, 7th in last year's Constructors' Championship. They're a bit of an underdog team, Williams. I'd love them to do well. I really would. I'd love to see Williams back at the top of Formula One because that's where they deserve to be. Last won the Drivers' and Constructors' Championship, 97 with Jacques Villeneuve, the son of Gilles Villeneuve, the son of Gilles Villeneuve, son Jack. Are you
27 years, Dermot. 27 years since he did anything. It's a big ask, isn't it?
It is a bit that's where Frank Williams sadly passed away there last year or 2 years ago. I think the team have been bought over. Are you hoping to see? It's another British team, Philip, and the team probably we should be rooting for. Should people be getting behind these British teams, the underdogs, instead of going for like the Aston Martins or the Mercedes because they're the teams that win all the time? Should we be getting behind the lesser teams to give them a bit of boost as well?
Getting behind a team that hasn't won anything in 27 years is a bit of a long shot, isn't it? Really,
we haven't won anything.
I prefer to back a team that a British team that was coming a bit nearer the top. Well, no offense to Williams, but I won't be backing Williams because they're going nowhere.
But their history sort of dictates they have been there. They've done it.
History is fine for historians. If you're an investor wanting to make money out of Formula One, you're not going to put it into Williams when you look at their record over the last 20 odd years.
Yeah,
you don't come from it. Just behind the cold hard light of day. Success breeds investment, and they don't have success. So
Now this is how the team. Now they're called Stake F1. They've been rebranded. Now there's rumors in 2026 Audi are going to buy them out. So there's really not much to go on with this team.
Right.
We're not really. So look, they're a team that could do well. Bottas, who used to drive for Mercedes, very capable driver, and his teammate Chinese. So look, it's Sauber really. Sauber's been in Formula One forever, but for me, one race victory when there were BMW Sauber, 27 podiums, 1 pole position, 5 fastest, and then this is another team that is linked to Red Bull, Philip, the Red Bull sister team. They've now been rebranded into Visa Red Bull Cash App. The team was rebranded to Visa Cash App Red Bull Formula One team for the 24 season, shortened to the acronym of VCARB. That's a mouthful. The new name was widely criticized by fans and the media. Ed Straw on the race called it the worst team name in Formula One history, an embarrassment to Red Bull and Formula One as a whole, arguing that the name RB lacks personality, identity, and ambition, could easily be confused with Red Bull Racing, and exists solely to force the sponsor to be mentioned more often. Look, we all know sponsors are important to Formula One, Philip, and we know sponsors are important to sport. But is sponsors becoming too much in Formula One? Is it now more what the sponsor want you to do than the team, if you know what I mean? Well, that's where most of the money comes from, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm saying the sponsors putting the mega bucks. They're entitled to ask things, Yeah. Now, as far as I can read from that crowd, they look like the Sheffield United of the Formula One world.
Yeah,
they're going to be bottom of the pile,
Yeah.
Visa are a big company, and they've obviously must see something. I don't see Visa putting money into something they don't see a bit of success coming out of. But the fact that they're also connected to Red Bull, is that all right? Is that allowed?
Yeah, it is. I mean, they've always been linked. Red Bull bought 2 Formula One teams back in the day, and they were then known as Scuderia, and then they were known as they were the Italian fashion design names goes off the top of my head. AlphaTauri, and then they've rebranded into this now. It really is a sister team for Red Bull. Daniel Ricciardo used to drive for Red Bull, now back in Formula One for his 2nd season. And do you know, I don't know. I don't like it, Philip. I don't
going nowhere fast that lot. I think going nowhere fast.
And then, of course, the team that's picking up the finished 10th with only 12 points, of course, it's Haas F1 team. Only 1 pole position. You picked them last season when we did the Bahrain Grand Prix, Philip, but I don't think they'll be going anywhere.
No.
Forward, to be fair. And the 11th team coming into Formula One is yet to be decided.
Blank.
We are thinking calling it Brady F1, but we're not convinced Philip yet.
The only problem is I haven't been able to get a 1600cc engine from my Lada yet to put into it. So.
Let's go through the chat, Philip, and then we've got a few stats to go through just to give people a bit of interest into. If you haven't watched Formula One before, a little bit for history lesson as well. So hopefully as well. Do you want to read some of these
Yeah, Chris is saying that partnership just not worked at Mercedes. Both drivers having egos to be priority. Mercedes dropped last 2 seasons. 2022 regulations found them out. They will get a joy in Britain, Hungary, and Brazil. There you go.
Yeah.
And that's from Chris. And Dan Davenport, I saw the movie Ferrari over Christmas time. It's now out on Blu-ray. Oh, right, okay.
Was it any good, Dan? Let us know if it was any good.
Chris is saying Ferrari are the poster boys of F1, but they are complete contrast to Red Bull. Red Bull are perfect, Ferrari are abysmal in terms of reliability of the car. Poor team members, poor strategy. I'll always say this about anything to do with Italian. It's going to be feisty, it's going to be controversial, there'll be a lot of hand waving and shouting and this, that, and the other. And that would appear to be what Chris is saying there about Ferrari, you know, excitable. You know?
Yeah, you get buying an Italian car, you think it's going to break down within 2 minutes of you leaving the.
Well, it usually does. If you ever owned a Fiat Thermal, it usually does.
If you ever owned the Lotus, lots of trouble usually is.
No. I'm a big fan of the Korean cars myself. Anyway, as I say, I was going to use a joke about the shortest book in the world is the Italian Book of War Heroes, but that's got nothing to do with this. Anyway. No. Dan is saying, I would love Norris to win a race or two from McLaren. Yeah, that's not Nando Norris, isn't it? Whatever.
Yeah, Nando Norris, yeah.
Chris Wells, too much hype about McLaren challenging. They started slowly last 2 seasons. Outside top 10, obviously be better this time. Zach Brown has progressed them. It's wait and see from McLaren. Chris, I'm impressed with your knowledge. I think you and Dermot together now will be an encyclopedia on this sport.
Yeah, we're getting you as well involved in this. My mission is to make you Formula One fan for the end of the season.
Well, what I'll do, Dermot, I'll ask the awkward questions. You know, I'll ask the awkward questions. You two boys can answer them, you know. And Dan is saying, did you know Zinedine Zizi is an ambassador for Alpine? Oh,
yeah, he is.
Maybe he's waiting to take over managing them.
Maybe.
Chris again, Lawrence Stroll is rumoured to be leaving Aston Martin, but most likely end of 2025. Same for his son Lance, which is what Aston Martin need for me.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
they do.
Yeah.
I just feel Lance Stroll is a moody, miserable son of a gun. And you've got a 2-time world champion in Fernando Alonso, who is, for me, is one of my favourite Formula One drivers. Of the current
Why don't you really say what you think about Lawrence Stroll, then?
He's a moody git.
Yeah, right. That's it.
Yeah. He's a moody son of a bitch, if you want me to be honest.
There you go.
Yeah, and his father's not too far behind him. Anyway, Chris again, before I get myself in any more trouble.
And Chris is saying Alpine said their car has been atrocious in testing, but fully expected to be the 6th best team on the grid. They are consistent, but also inconsistent. Yeah, that's kind of a contradiction in terms there, but I know what you mean.
Over the long distance, they were good, Philip. They were consistent over the long distance.
Yeah.
But I think
this may sound like a silly question, Dermot, but do some racetracks suit some cars better than others?
Yeah, you're spot on with that. You're absolutely spot. Some racetracks suit Red Bull better than Red Bull are good everywhere, but Mercedes, some tracks will suit Mercedes better than say Ferrari.
All right.
You have the car has to. Every track is low, high downforce, so it's different levels on the car.
Yeah.
You could either be above sea level, like in Mexico, you're above the sea level.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
And then some races you're below. So these tracks suits the car differently. But if you have a car that you can quickly set up on every circuit, you're on a winner.
True,
and this is what Red Bull have been able to do. They've built a car that's competitive everywhere. And Mercedes did it. It's all to do with the regs, Philip. It's all to do when the new formula has changed. It's the team that gets ahead of everyone else on the new formula, which is changing in 2026. So we could have a change in 2026. So, but who knows?
And one other silly question: excuse me, how many liters of petrol are they allowed for each race, and can they exceed this under any circumstance?
They can't. No, it's liter. I think it's 100 liters. Now something's telling me it's shorter this season, but it is 100 liters. So you can. That's for the race distance. A race distance is 200 miles.
So you're talking 100 liters is 20 gallons. So you're getting 10 miles per gallon.
Yeah. So no race can go under 200 miles. Now, I think Chris can quote me if I'm wrong on that. I am right on that, but I'm not sure about the liters. They are reducing it, Philip. it's used back in the day. They used to have refueling during the racing,
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
and then they stopped it because it become
But
too
can you not
dangerous.
start with a lower fuel load and refuel during the thing if you
No,
wanted to?
no.
Can you not use that as a
You have
tactic?
to
No.
start. No, you have. They used to do that when they was refueling,
Yeah, I remember
but
that. Yeah, I
because
remember that.
you can always start. You have to start now with your tank full.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
losing. I think if I'm right, you're losing half a second or 5, 10, half a second a lap with a car
With
fully
full
fueled,
tank. Yeah, I would
and
have
then
thought that some teams would have liked to start with half a tank full
yeah,
and use a tactical race and fill up later on, but that's obviously all gone now.
yeah. We've got Chris here again. Big up, Chris. He's been very
Sargent's
popular in the
unlucky
chat
last
tonight.
season in a few races. My tip to learn from last season and to help Albon out to move constructors.
Yeah, Albon needs to move to a bigger team. He's a great driver from Thailand. Very unlucky in his first season at Red Bull. Went to Williams, had a year out of Formula One. Went to Williams. He's worked wonders at Williams. But I think he'd be very good at the Mercedes seat when Lewis Hamilton moves. Myself personally, but I think Mick Schumacher's getting that.
And Chris is saying Sauber will be the same as last season. Same for Haas. They fight to be the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. Chris, you're
and
spot
feel
on with
sorry
that
for
as well.
Bottas in better car. He gets results. Yeah.
Yeah, he done very well at Mercedes, and then he's waiting for Audi or Audi. Coming in 2026.
And Dan Davenport saying Ferrari was a great movie. So there you go.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good recommendation for us, Mr. Brady.
And Big T, Manchester United fan in. Commiserations on losing to Fulham at home yesterday, by the way. Do we see anything on other than Red Bull domination? Sorry, I had to get that in. I don't know, Big T. I would say, can you see it, Dermot, really?
I would love to see it, but I can't. I think Red Bull. I don't think they're going to be as dominant as they were last season. They won 21 out of 22 races last season.
Right.
Ferrari winning the other one, and Azerbaijan, I think. So, look, for me, I don't think they're going to be that dominant this season, but I think they will end up winning the championships, but not in the same dominant style as they did this season.
Red Bull will have joy in majority of tracks with straight lines. Perez loves street circuits, as does Leclerc. Ferrari will have joy in Monza. Mercedes, Britain, Hungary, and Brazil. There you go. So if you take a note of these predictions from Chris now and see how true they come in the actual races.
See, that's sort of what I was getting at, Philip. Different tracks.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I should have realized that. I should have realized.
No, well, you do. Right, Philip. Just a little thing before we leave everyone. Just a little thing. Now, there is a sprint race. Now, these are the points for the sprint and qualifying. If you win the sprint race, you get 8 points for winning, 7 for second, 6 for third, 5th for fourth, 4th for 5th, 3rd for 6th, 2 for 7th, 1 for 8th. And then, of course, in the Formula One World Championship scoring points, you get, of course, it goes from 1 to 25 for winning, 18 for second, 15 for third, 12 for fourth, 10 for fifth, 8 for sixth, 6 for seventh, 4 for eighth, 2 for ninth, 1 for 10. And you get a point also for qualifying on pole position. Just to go through total entries, Fernando Alonso leads that on 380 races. Lewis Hamilton, total wins as well, 103 wins out of 332 races. Michael Schumacher, second. But Max Verstappen, 54 wins in 185 races in 185 starts. So he could potentially overtake Michael Schumacher's record and go into second place. I don't think he'll beat Lewis Hamilton's record. I don't think nobody will ever beat that in my lifetime. That's for sure. Drivers' titles, Michael Schumacher and, of course, Hamilton, both locked on 7.7 titles each. Fangio on 5, of course, the man that really was the record holder for a long since before Schumacher broke his record. Alain Prost, Vettel on 4, then on their 6th on 3. Jack Brabham, Jackie Stewart, Niki Lauda, the late great Niki Lauda, Nelson Piquet, Ayrton Senna, and Max Verstappen all on 3. Constructors number 1 with Ferrari well ahead with 15, McLaren with 12, Mercedes 9, Williams, Red Bull on 7, Lotus on 6, Brabham on 4, and then a load on 2, Alfa Romeo, Maserati, Cooper, Tyrrell, Benetton, Renault, BRM, Matra, Braun on 1. So that is the record for Ferrari when they had in that at 15. wins by starting position, Max Verstappen, 27 wins on pole, 11 by second. And some of them records are unreal, aren't they, Philip? I mean, he even won one by starting 14th. He is a machine, isn't he? He's a machine, isn't he?
He is. Yeah, you have to admire him.
And then all these from 2016 to 22, 54 wins, Philip, and 185 starts.
Yeah.
It's quite. Can you see him beating? I've got to start here, Philip. Right? Can you see Max Verstappen beating Michael Schumacher's 91 race wins by the time?
Yeah, because he's young enough. He's young enough. 4 more seasons, he could do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Will he ever beat Hamilton's 103? Do you think?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Why not? I mean, how old is Max Verstappen? 29, 30?
Not even that.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
He started his first Formula race at 16. He started at 17. He started his first race.
He'll smash those records. He'll smash them.
So that's it, Philip. That's our preview. We'll go through a few more comments and then we will end off there. We've got one question. Then we'll get Philip's prediction on who's going to win both championships. And also, Drive to Survive. Is Philip going to watch that? Well, we're getting that very quick. Go for another 5 minutes, Philip. Right, just quickly read these out, Philip. Sorry.
The sprint weekend format was tweaked for 2024, with qualifying previously called the shootout moving to Friday afternoon ahead of the sprint itself on Saturday morning. Very good.
So that should be fun. Yeah. And what's your thoughts on the sprints? Look, for Philip, it's going to be exciting. For Philip being a new fan, I think it's great for him. I think it's going to be exciting. I think it's going to be, it's more racing, Philip, which is good for the fans going there. And for people like you, it's going to be great for you to watch as well. For me, I like traditional practice, qualifying on the Saturday and the race on the Sunday. But look, things move on. Do you know, races move on, history moves on, sports evolve. So, but would that, you as a new fan, Philip, are you excited like the sprint races and more than practice? Are you sort of encouraged by that as a new fan?
Practice is practice. At least sprint, there's something at the end of it, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
They want something to aim at. And practice is only getting the car better. Sprints are what you're aiming to win. You might win an actual race, but you might win the sprint.
Yeah. Do you want to read that? So we've got a few more here.
For me, you got to have it all. Excuse me. It's Chris again. For me, you got to have them at tracks you can overtake. I would change point scoring in sprints. The top 10 get points with half points of actual race points. So first in sprint gets 12.5 points. Yeah, it's a bit radical. Whether they'll do that, I doubt it.
Yeah. Paul Carl is
still on saying, sorry, couldn't come on. She's still up. There you go, Carl.
Yeah. Our sympathies, Carl. Joking, Carl.
I'm not a fan of sprints, but it's here now. I'm not going away. It's like football with VAR. It's here to stay.
Exactly. Great compliment by Peter, and I echo that, and I know Philip does as well.
Chris is cooking with his F1 knowledge, lads. His channel is brilliant. Does everything. Yeah, it is. Actually, I'm very impressed.
Yeah.
And then Chris is saying, share the channel with my community lads. Thank
you so much. Thank you, Chris. You're very kind. Thank you so much. I would do the same for you. As long as, sorry, Philip, go on.
Big tasting, as long as sprints don't replace traditional racing, full stop, I can tolerate them. Yeah, and hardly go replace all the races, you know.
They might do, Philip. Right, 2 questions, Philip, and then we'll end up, and then we'll tell people what's coming up. Who will win the 2024 World Championship, Drivers' World Champion?
You have to say Verstappen again. I can't see anybody stopping.
I say so. And who's going to win the Team World Championship?
Ditto, Red Bull.
Do you know what? I would love Ferrari to win it, but it's going to be Red
Bull.
So
would I, but it's going to be Red Bull.
It's going to be. And Drive to Survive Season 6 is out, guys. I am going to watch it. Me and Chris and Philip as well will do our thoughts on it. I hope Philip will watch it as well, so we'll get his thoughts on it. Thank you so much for doing this with me, Philip. I know it's not your sport. I know you're not a big Formula One fan like myself, who's a massive Formula One fan. So I'm really grateful and appreciate you doing this with me.
No
you're in for one hell of a ride this season.
Mm-hmm.
You really are. Just one quick time. What can people do with our official sponsor? Because it's above you.
Yeah, it's the drink rate. It's the energy drink mainly for gamers, but anybody can try it. Dermot has ordered the bathwater one, which we're just really, really, really dying to see what comes with that. To get 10% off your first order, scan the QR code and put in the code THFC TID, 10% off, and let us know how you get on with it.
It is. Well, listen, guys, it is Formula One. We are back again. Chris Welsh, F1 Notebook. Yeah, that's it. That's what we're going to call you, the Ted Kravitz. It also is Red Bull and Verstappen, easiest predictions I've ever done. Perfect in every department. They are. 2026 is when we next have an F1 title race. I say so. But Philip, thank you so much. We are back tomorrow at 4 with Newsbeat when we go back to something you know about, which is football. What we're going to talk about, League Cup final.
We'll have the black armbands on for Chelsea, that's for sure.
Yeah. We'll talk about League Cup final, Tottenham, and just any Premier League. It's been a good weekend for the Premier League, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has actually. Good weekend.
Any results very quickly, Philip, that sprang out to you?
Well, Fulham beating United, especially, that affects us. Villa keep on winning, and
Palace get a good win.
Yeah, Palace had a good win. Yeah, they'll be up for us. Man City scraped another 1-0 win. So,
how did Bournemouth not equalise? I just don't know.
I know.
And then, of course, Fulham. But listen, Philip, thank you so much indeed.
I'll talk to you in the morning. I have to shoot off here now. So
I'll let you go. Okay. Well, listen, thank you everyone for watching. See you later. Thank you all for watching. And it is Formula One is back. We are going to, hang on, just let me take Mr. Brady out. He's gone. Formula One is back, of course. Next Thursday, I'll be doing the practice sessions. Practice 1 and practice 2. Qualifying on Friday at 5. And then next Saturday, I got a bit of dilemma because my watching on for Tottenham is at the same time as the Grand Prix. So we're going to have to find a compromise somewhere here, guys. So let me know in the chat what do I do? Because I want to cover both. So I can do a dual Formula One and keep you up to date with the Tottenham Palace game, or we can do the watch along with an update to the Grand Prix. So let me know what you want me to do. We'll work something out for next weekend. But we are going to do a preview to the Grand Prix, me and Philip, coming up on the channel next Friday night after qualifying. And then we'll do our post-race thoughts as well. Hopefully get Chris involved on the F1 channel as well with Carl. So we'll give you the best coverage of watch-alongs going on Full-Time Sports Network on THFC, F1 Till We Die. Also on THFC Till We Die as well, Till I Die as well. Thank you all for watching. We're back tomorrow at 4 with Newsbeat. God bless you all. Have a great rest of your Sunday evening, what's left of it. Come on, you Spurs. And Big Ange, we trust.